Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of the Frisco Report. I have a special guest today. Dallas Cowboys. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, what's going on, Joe Raw? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining the show today.
Mhm.
We got a lot of stuff to cover. Basically what we're going to look at, kind of some of the news that's hitting the Twitterverse right now, and then we'll transition into the state of the Cowboys a quarter of the way through the season. We're going to analyze where we're at, what's working, what's not working, and what the future may hold for this team. All right, so let's get into it. So, the thing that a lot of people are talking about right now that has consumed fans throughout the day are, a lot of these press conferences. You're getting a lot of news bites from Mike McCarthy to Xavier Woods, and then some other things are kind of hitting here. But let's hit on the first one. The whole effort thing, right? The effort
Right.
has been questioned by a lot of fans. And we've heard from Mike McCarthy and Mike Nolan that they don't see it as an effort, but we see it. I mean, we see it with our eyes. So, what's your thoughts there on the effort with this team?
I just think it's a mess all around, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think it's just the coaches are trying to find their footing and trying to message, hey, this is what we want to do to the players. And you're hearing the players, like you're hearing Jalen Smith say, oh, things need to be simplified. It's too complicated. Jordan Lewis said something about, oh, it's a different feel to it. And then we just had X Woods say, like, oh, the effort, oh, you can't go 100%. I don't remember the exact quote, but basically saying, like, you can't play all 70 games at 100%, which is a load of crap. That's bad stuff. That's red flags, like, real bad. But I think it's fair to say the effort is, listen, this team's still trying to find its footing. We're just exiting the era of a coach we've had for 10 years, so he's had a ingrained culture with this team that needs to be rooted out. And I think that it's going to take a bit for McCarthy to really get his footing with this team. I mean, you're seeing some of these Gold Garrett guys that just have the same mantra he's been preaching. It's just like, I understand that we're frustrated, but we shouldn't be calling for him to get fired. It's his first year. I will admit, we didn't expect it to be this bad. Yeah. That I will say. Yeah. But I will say, look, there's still 12 games to go. I mean, we'll see what this team does. But, right now this effort is piss poor, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it really is. There's no way to sugarcoat it, but that's what these guys are kind of in spin, trying to do the spin doctor stuff right now to the fans. And, we have no patience for it right now. We've gone through almost 10 years of Garrett. We're expecting a lot more. And the thing that really stood out to me about Mike McCarthy's press conference was that he had two options: scorched earth or meld the previous culture into his. And it's like mixing ice with fire, with oil. It's not working. I think you should have gone scorched earth. You know what I mean? So, yeah, now you're kind of seeing the effects of that. It is. You're not seeing the effort. You're seeing these Garrett guys, and I totally agree. That's kind of what I've been saying. You got to yank these weeds out of the garden, right, or they're going to keep spreading, and it's going to be a garden full of weeds. So you do, man. You got to pull them out. And, they've tried to, piece some things together with their own type of players. Aldon Smith is doing his thing, but he can't do it by himself. These contracts are looking very, very bad right now, Space. I mean, you're looking at Jalen Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, and, everybody wants to say, but DeMarcus Lawrence, he's making plays. He's still making plays. Relax on him. He plays the run well and this and that, but you're not paying $21 million for a defensive end who's supposedly a war daddy to stop the run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man, and that's the thing is, like, I think the last time we really saw a scorched earth policy was with Bill Parcells. He came in, and granted, he didn't, like, fully just cut every single person on the team. He just took players that we knew were past their prime. Like, you look at the Emmets, you look at not Darren Woodson, obviously, but, like, you started to see, like, the changing of the guard, and I think we haven't seen that with this team yet. And I think the biggest takeaway was, I think Mike McCarthy was coming into the situation like, look, I got a pretty good squad around me. I think I could trust my players to do their thing. All I got to do is add a couple key pieces here and there, and we'll be good to go. And I guess he's finding out the hard way that, we got to we got a big problem here. Like, these guys, they don't fit what I'm trying to do here. So I think it's just a trial and error thing. And I do understand that it's an awkward time, no preseason, limited training camp. I completely understand that. But even though, like, this has been, we're used to hearing, like, how Mike McCarthy's this experienced coach. It's what we need. And I'm not saying we should have gone in a different direction, because you look at some of these other guys, it's like Ron Rivera isn't looking too hot in Washington. Granted, it is Washington. I heard, like, some rumors like, oh, we should have never fired Garrett. Stop that. Jason Garrett is looking god-awful in New York. We have scored like 3 times as much points as the Giants have at this juncture of the season. And it's just, I don't like this, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I don't like this revisionist history, like, oh, Garrett wasn't as bad. But if, like, people like, this is the worst start to a season since 2010, I'm like, if you look at Garrett's tenure, the Cowboys have had 6 seasons where they started 2-3. In his 9 years full-time head coach. And then you've had situations where they started 3-5, I think 2 of those seasons, and then one was 2-7. So it's like, I don't want us to sit here and think that Garrett is like this solid or like amazing head coach, which in reality, it's just shit hit the fan at the wrong time. McCarthy just is, we're paying for the sins of the Jason Garrett era right now with his poor mistakes in terms of drafting. We could blame that on Will McClay as well, because the way and I don't want to keep going on, but I think it's just important to mention that, like, and I think you talked about it, like, on the video, like, why is the defense the way it is? Because you have guys like Rod Marinelli and Chris Richard making these decisions. Oh, we can't get a TJ Watt because he doesn't fit our scheme. Yeah. Or let's get a Tristan Hill as opposed to a safety because we're comfortable with who we have. Yeah. That is those moves that have led to us being in the position we're in right now, and Mike McCarthy's trying to salvage this thing.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's what it is. I continue to say this, that you're rebuilding. They're not going to broadcast it, but you're trying to compete, right? I think they're trying to compete, but that previous culture, man, it is ingrained, especially on that defensive side of the ball. The effort's not there. You see a lot of these players are on the floor. That answer that Xavier Woods gave, it was god awful. Those are not the things you want to hear. Right. He's probably speaking like 100% honesty, but right now, that's not the right thing you want to say, man.
Right.
Oh my God, dude. So, I mean, these guys are trying to get second contracts. I mean, the way these guys are playing, none of these guys have earned a second contract with the Cowboys. And I think they're going to let a lot of these guys walk away. And maybe this is why a part of the reason the Cowboys went the way they did with this NFL draft. You know what I mean? So it's like, you bring in Reggie Robinson and these guys. You might have something in Donovan Wilson, the previous year.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be an uphill battle. And now we're getting into the meat of the schedule. That you're gonna have a whole bunch of NFC East teams on the schedule coming up. So who wants it? You're seeing Washington make a move at quarterback. I've always said that Washington defense is legit as hell. All they need is a quarterback. If they figure that thing out with the quarterback, we're
in trouble. They're a tough team.
Yeah, they are a tough team. They were built to stop our offense. Plain and simple. That's what they were drafting for years. Yeah. All those Alabama boys, it's hard to run on them. So, man, you're facing the Giants. You got the Cardinals, and then you're going through this whole gauntlet of NFC East. So this thing's going to start to vet itself out. You know what I mean, Space? So you're going to find out.
Right.
Who's going to start to separate a little bit? Who wants this division?
Well, and I think that I personally, as much as I don't want to jump the gun, I think you're going to find out before the Cowboys hit their bye week. Because when you look at it, they play all 3 of the NFC East teams, and they play a handful of teams. I believe they play Arizona, like you mentioned. I think they play Pittsburgh before they go on their bye. So, I mean, we could be sitting at, like I said, you have to get out of this stretch 3-3 with this home game stretch if you want a chance, especially if you got to win your divisional games. Because if you come out of the stretch at 3-3, I think that this team should be able to beat teams. They should. That's the key word. Should be able to beat teams like Washington, like a Philadelphia, and then if you do that, you're sitting at 5-3, or 4-4. If you lose to Arizona. And really, I personally think this team can win this division at an 8-8, 9-7. But at the same time, it's like I think the problem is that we need a year or two for McCarthy to really bring in a new set of guys and pull out, like you said, pull out the weeds of this defense. Because if you look at it, his draft class thus far has done pretty well for, granted, what we see. CeeDee Lamb, star, he's good as advertised. Trevon Diggs, he's a bit banged up, but he's starting to show what he can do. Neville Gallimore, yet we haven't seen him yet. I really wish we'd give him time. Get Don Terry Poe out of here. But I think that, hey, listen, we got to see what we got in him. Tyler Biotish, he looks fantastic for what we got in a fourth round. I mean, I love it, and we'll see what he can do in these next couple games with Joe Looney now. And then, of course, you have Reggie Robinson. We still got to see what he could do. And Ben DiNucci's whatever, because it's a developmental player. But that's the key thing. We're starting to see, hey, we're getting production out of these three guys that we've seen on the field thus far, and that's important. This isn't like a Jason Garrett situation where it's you're seeing guys that are we're drafting and they just kaput and they're not here. And I'm not saying, listen, hindsight's going to be 20/20. For all I know, I say that, and half these guys don't work out. But I think it's going to take time. Mike McCarthy, when he inherited a 4-12 Packers team, he took them to 8-8, and then he took them to 13-3 because it took him a year to get his guys in there. I'm not saying it's going to happen with the Cowboys. Will have a record like that, but I do think it's going to take time for McCarthy to really set his, get his footing, feeding, set and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. There is a transition to this whole thing. I think a lot of fans, a lot of media, a lot of us that cover the team, kind of thought, hey, we got all this talent. All we need is the head coach. Now we're all kind of taking a step back, and reality is kind of hitting the fan here. We're like, okay, this transition thing, it's a real thing here. There are those cases where a coach does come in here and, it's a quick turnaround. But for the most part, that just isn't reality, and it's not the case. In here, you got 10 years of culture here, of the Garrett culture, and the defense continues to get gashed. They have not fixed the run. You go back to the divisional game with the Rams, we got gashed, and that was 26, 2017, somewhere like that. I mean, it seems like so long ago. We still cannot stop the run. Don Terry Poe space, complete bust of a free agent pick. Right there.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible, man.
I think ultimately, I'm looking at, let me take a look real quick at my notes. I mean, you look at these signings. I mean, Don Terry Poe, a bust. Not that I was expecting him to do much. I'm expecting to do something, man. He's just been looking like hot garbage. I feel bad for Gerald McCoy because of his injury, but then again, we don't know what he would have looked like. So we have two busts that we needed to really stand out, and we were excited for. And then cornerback, I mean, you kind of you're banking on your main guys not getting hurt. But Cheeto's hurt, and he was looking all right. Not the greatest, but he's looking all right. And now you have Anthony Brown down as well, so now you're thin at corner, so there's the problem there. And again, safety is continuing to be an issue. This is the problem. Is I'm not asking for a first-round safety, because honestly, you can get better value elsewhere, but you have to dedicate money to the safety position, I don't know what the hell is going on. I mean, you look at these free agent signings, I mean, they've all been pretty much busts with the exception of Greg Zuerlein and Blake Bell. Yeah. That's it.
And probably Alden, but...
Oh, yeah, Alden too, but...
The other guys, they're not showing up, man. They're not... The Everson Griffin one, that one is really, really disappointing. And, does he turn it around? We don't know. Like we said, we're at the quarter mark. That's what we're talking about, guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat box, everybody watching live. We do appreciate you. Make sure you guys hit like on the video here if you would, please. We do appreciate it. But space, man, it's nobody really. I don't think anybody could say that they saw this start, coming out the way that they have. The slow start killing this team, the -7 ratio in the turnovers, that's killing them. Ezekiel Elliott with the uncharacteristic fumbleitis, that's not something that he's really ever battled with. So. I feel like these guys are maybe putting too much on their shoulder to get this thing going, and they're forgetting some of the fundamentals. I think they need to get back to some of the fundamentals and then, hang on to that rock. You know what I mean? And
right.
And try to make some strips. And The hustle, man. We got to see the hustle, dude. Like, we mentioned Neville Gallimore being deactivated the last 2 weeks. For me, deactivator cut Pope. Gallimore's got the flex. Go in there. Change it up to a one gap, front if that's what you want. If that's what's gonna work, change that up because what's happening right now, it ain't working. And
Right.
space. So we the other thing that we're talking about, the other thing that's in the news space. We'll move on to the next topic here.
Mm.
LVE. We're getting news that he is making his way back into the practice field. We're not sure what type of work he's going to get necessarily. Is it going to be bands? Things. I don't think there's going to see any physical contact for him right now. But what's your take on that news of LVE kind of making his way back now?
I just hope they're not rushing him back. That's the biggest issue with me. I mean,
Yeah.
like, what is it? He was out, I think they said 6 to 8 weeks with this broken collarbone, and we're already, going into week 5, and you're trying to get this guy. I understand you're trying to ease him back in, but for me, it's worrying because it's like the last thing you want to do is rush him back in. He gets hurt again, and it's even worse. I'm not expecting that. I don't think Leighton's going to, like, do anything crazy, but, like, that's another thing is if you're playing him while he's hurt and he's not fully recovered, that could impact his play. And it's like, you might as well just let him heal. And I think that I hope they're not rushing him back. From what I'm getting at, they're not. They're just trying to ease him back into the practices. But yeah, man, I just hope that Leighton's okay. Because we need him. He's pretty much he's the cornerstone of this defense. Because not to try and jump the gun here, but with Jalen not playing very well and calling the plays and stuff like that, saying, "Oh, it's too complicated." I just think he's not fit for that.
Yeah, I'm not liking that at all, man. And I'm the biggest fan. And what they said in the offseason, they're not putting into practice. They said that they were going to use him more in rush situations. Yet, for whatever reason, he's covering tight ends, getting beat, getting penalties. And somebody mentioned this, and you do see it. It always seems that Jalen Smith is chasing somebody. He's not attacking. He's chasing and jumping and tackling. Like that's not good football for Jalen, man. They're not. It's a whole mix of the roller coaster trajectory that we're seeing. It's does he need that other linebacker to be good? And if that's the case, that's not what you're paying for. You're paying this guy to be high end, linebacker one. You know what I mean? And
Right.
not getting it. You're not getting it. It's hurting this defense. It's hurting the team. So they gotta figure that thing out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love Jalen. I have his jersey because I supported his story, with him, come back. Because, listen, he's a really good guy, but at the end of the day, he's just not able to get the job done. I don't know if it's just because of the scheme change or they're asking him to do a lot more than he's expecting, or it's just like maybe this is just who he is. It's just he's just been masked because of LVE and a couple other factors. But, to give this dude $12 million a year for how he's been playing, it's just abysmal. You can't be doing that.
Yeah. Now, the one bright spot about these contracts, they got the 2-year ejection button on DeMarcus Lawrence and Jalen Smith. But do you want to carry this thing another 2 years? That's the question. And at this rate, no on either of them. You know what I mean? So, can you get any trade value? If you make a trade, you're still going to have to eat some of that contract. So they're caught in an awkward position right now, man. So hopefully they can figure this thing out. We are getting some reinforcements in here, space. We're hearing about Randy Gregory getting on the field. So I love him in this supposed hybrid type of deal. I think he fits more of a traditional 3-4. So maybe they could get some spark there because they need it. Anthony Brown's coming back. We're hearing that. But the LVE part with the clavicle, that does scare me. I don't want to see him re-crack it. You're out for the year. And the Cowboys have been one of these teams that, especially last season, it seemed like they rushed a lot of these guys back from injury and they got re-hurt. Connor McGovern is really the one that sticks out to my mind. So, and then Tony Romo, when he broke his, obviously he was an older player, but that took him out like the whole year. You know what I mean? So I know LVE's younger, but he is getting that injury-prone tag.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is like it's one thing if he's getting hurt, but it's another thing when you rush him back and he's not playing well because he's playing hurt. Because I remember that happened with Tony Romo. He was playing all right to start. I mean, he didn't really start that season well, but then when he came back, he just didn't look the same, and he's just forcing stuff, and he just played hurt, and then he gets hurt again, and then you just pretty much ruin him right there. Not saying he was complete garbage, but you get the point. It's like with Leighton, he's a younger guy. He's going into his third season now, and for him to now, first with the neck, now at the collarbone, and you're having this area getting injured when he's mainly leading with his head to tackle. That's a problem.
Big time.
As a linebacker, especially with what he's doing. So, I mean, I'm 100% worried. I think that there's a possibility you have to go into this, not to talk about draft now, but like early on, you're looking like maybe I do have to go early linebacker because of what I'm seeing.
Yeah. That to me right now, linebacker, and outside linebacker, you got to get he's going to need to get his Clay Matthews. If this is the plan to be straight up 3-4, you got to get that Clay Matthews pedigree type of player. You got to find that guy in the draft. He's got to be the guy that you're going to be having a game plan against. Because right now you don't have that guy right now. That's another thing, Space. If you're in the 3-4, how does DeMarcus Lawrence fit into that? I'm not paying him $20 million to be a 5-tech in a 3-4.
Right. I mean, it's hard because the problem is no one's going to touch his contract with a freaking 6-foot pole because I'm not going to trade even a cheap draft pick for someone of his caliber. Now, granted, I will say he's not a horrific player. I could see he has issues with double teams. He does get a lot of pressures. I'm cool with that. My problem is I'm not paying you $20 million to just do pressures and run stop. If I was going to do that, then I would be stupid to do that. But I think it's just he really just hasn't been the same since 2018. He hasn't had that that war daddy form that we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah.
And it's we haven't seen a real pass rusher emerge. Granted, look, you got a guy in Aldon Smith who looks pretty solid. He looks pretty damn good. But you can't just rely on one guy. That's the thing that kills me with this is sure, it's nice to have that one guy that's you can't, stop and all this other stuff, but you can't just be relying on him. And that's what's killing the Cowboys. And you see this in some of these games.
Yeah, no doubt. You are seeing the good and the bad from him. But when you lose, everything gets magnified. Everything gets, amplified. So, winning cures everything. So, the next thing we want to talk about, Space, is Mike Nolan and what we're reading on Twitter. Everybody's talking about Wade Phillips. He's out there. He's waiting. He's watching. What's your thoughts on? Would you want him in here at the end of the year? Let's say they clean house there with Mike Nolan, and they bring in a Wade Phillips. What's your thoughts on that?
People that don't know, I really do love Wade Phillips as a defensive coordinator. I did like him when he was the coach of the Cowboys. Granted, things didn't really pan out for him, but yeah. I think that it really comes down to what the Cowboys want to do. Do they want to try and morph this thing into a 3-4? Do they want to try and switch it back? I don't know what the plan is because that's the first thing I want to know. What are we trying to do? What is the plan long term? Are we going to do this switch to a 3-4? I don't know. As for Wade Phillips, he does have a good track record as a defensive coordinator. He was just recently with the Rams. He made them Super Bowl caliber defense. Working with Aaron Donald. It is with guys like Aaron Donald and a couple other guys here and there. But I do believe that I think Wade Phillips would be an upgrade. It's just I don't know the long-term plan. What are they trying to run? What kind of personnel are they trying to bring in? Who do they cut? Who do they trade?
Yeah, it will be a big question mark. And, if they don't turn the thing around, that's going to be the conversation of the offseason. And then not only that, you're going to see more churning around the league. Every year there's a cycle of new coaches looking to fill their coaching vacancy. So the Cowboys are going to have to really stay aware and keep an eye on it because if no one's not the answer, somebody's going to hire him at some point.
Right.
he's one of the gurus of the 3-4. You know, when you think of 3-4, Wade Phillips is one of the guys, and these guys play hard for him defensively. Like you said, defensive coordinator is his bread and butter, not head coaching. That's not his gig. That's not his bag. But defensive coordinating, I love that. You know, you see Marcus Ware, Anthony Spencer. These guys played lights out for him. You know, they looked really good. You know, they had a pretty good defense when Wade was had his thumbprint on that defense. But we'll see, man. But that's something to monitor.
Yeah, and and listen, if you guys remember, like people in the chat, I'm not sure if you were recalling when Jason Garrett got hired and he brought his own guys in and we switched to the 4-3 again. You know, you saw guys like DeMarcus Ware struggle at some points in time. You know, yeah, and he was getting older and he was getting hurt here and there, but you saw it. And I think it's the same thing that's happening now. It's just probably the opposite. I know we hear about the hybrid, but honestly, based off of how I'm seeing what's going on, it really looks like they're trying to do a 3-4 shift to that. But they're just like, hey, we're going to just run 4-3 packages and whatever we can do because that's the only thing we can do.
You know, they don't have the players to execute either in a consistent manner. That's just how I see it. And the safeties they're not getting it done, and that's just killing us in the middle. You know, busted plays left and right. It's a feeding frenzy. You know what I mean? And the run defense is really what's just killing this team. At 309 yards with running back by committee from the Browns. You know, I mean, Nick Chubb exited the game early, and then they had the running back committee. That's what we're going to face this week with the Giants, a running back by committee. Wayne Gallman, Devontae Freeman. Get ready, guys. I mean, these are no-name guys, and they're going to run on us. They are going to run on us. I hate to say it, but, I mean.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you give up, what was it, a franchise record, 307 rushing yards? Yeah. Not even to like Nick Chubb plus Kareem Hunt. No, it's Kareem Hunt and this other guy that I've never heard of in my entire life.
Yeah, right, man.
That's a problem. I mean, also the OBJ. I think it's just, oh my God, it pains me because it's like, I just watch these games and I'm like, what the hell are we doing? And I understand. Some people say, well, the offense isn't doing their part because they're giving the defense short fields. But even when the defense gets these like shorter fields and even when they get their opportunity, they're still getting gashed. Yeah. And it's like you're basically banking on Dak and the offense playing a perfect game just to get you a chance. That's a problem.
No, it is. You just cannot keep playing by that final miracle drive. Everything has to go perfect. Special teams has to be perfect. Defense has to be perfect. That final drive has to be perfect. They cannot keep doing this. I mean, you're going to end up 1-15 if you keep playing like this and the first overall pick. You know what I mean? And some fans may want that, but all of our expectations are still really high. You know, it is still early, but at the same time, you're starting to see like cracks in the like serious cracks in the foundation. You know, so.
Right.
But the offense, man, I love the offense. The space, I mean, they're lighting it up, you know, but is it because you're having to abandon the running game? You're just lopsided. You know, Mike McCarthy said this is too lopsided. It's crazy.
And it's like and my thing also is like he acknowledges it, and it's like, you know, they really have no other choice. No. You look at the Rams game was the only game where they really could do passing and running, like, and really focus on the run game. These past 3 games, it's just been we had to pass the ball to even have a chance in these games. Mm-hmm. And then Zeke hasn't been looking really that impressive, and it's not like fully his fault because, again, we can't give him the ball because we're trying to catch up and score as many points as possible, which they can. We've seen it happen. It's just we shouldn't be doing this late in games. You know, first half mistakes have to change. I do appreciate the adjustments. Hey, Terrence Steele's looking like trash. We gotta put someone at right tackle, whether it be Zach Martin or Brandon Knight. Cool. That's what I do like, is I'm seeing adjustments that I'm not used to seeing from the previous coach. But this defense is not giving you any help. I guarantee you, if they make a couple stops here and there, it's like the Seattle game is like a perfect example. They give up so much yardage and points. We have to come back, take the lead, and then we just ask for one more stop, and it's too little too late. You already gave them too many points.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah, the defense is just so awful, man. You gave up 14 points on 2 gimmick plays, both involving Odell Beckham. I mean, it's kind of laughable at some point. It's kind of sad, but it we keep saying this is a must win. At some point, you're at the end of the must wins. Yeah, at some point, you're just like, oh, okay, man. We're looking at 2021. But no, seriously, this game here with the Giants, it is going to be a brawl, and it is definitely a must win because if you have any hopes or aspirations of a playoff spot, you got to get it through your division, and those games are coming up now. So yeah, it's gonna be rough, but let's see what these guys do, Space.
yeah, and that's my biggest thing is just like, look, you have a chance to turn this entire season around. If you go out on Sunday, you beat the Giants. Doesn't have to be the prettiest, but if you can, just get a win. Like a win can do so much for this team right now. Especially, it's like we could be sitting down the barrel. We're sitting down the barrel of a 1-4 season, possible lost season. It's hard to come. I understand we play in the NFC East, all this other crap. It's just hard. It's really hard to be thinking we have to play, a Giants team that hasn't won a game, and we're already talking about must-win games. I know I said that a couple of these games should be all these games are must-wins in my opinion, but that's a problem. But easily, you can flip the script. You can go to 2-3. Maybe you take that momentum. Let's say you just drop a game versus Arizona. If you can get to 4-4 by the halfway point and you have 3 wins in your division, you're pretty much set. It's just you got to drudge to the finish line. But I don't want to see that. I want to see this team come out, build some momentum, and just come on, man. We have to fire on all cylinders. We have to get back on track.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it. That's where we're at right now. And just the fact that we're having these discussions this is not discussions that playoff caliber teams are having right now. Playoff caliber teams right now are talking about, oh man, I can't wait to get in there and beat the crap out of these guys. I can't wait to face these guys. We're gonna knock them out. That I kind of get that from Jimmy Johnson. He is the guy that I really watched growing up, and that's the kind of mindset this team needs to have. I can't wait for this team to come in here. We're gonna beat them up. Right now, the way we're playing, it's like, oh, what the heck is gonna happen in this game? Well, how creative are we gonna get in losing this game? So I want to get away from that and get back to what we're all hoping with this team could be.
Right, and it's going to probably be another, as much as I hate to say it, it's probably going to end up being a rebuild period for 1 to 3 years because you have to. It's not even like roster and talent wise. It's also just the culture change. Like I don't know and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like I don't know if it's just. What language is being used? Like, what are they saying? Like, are they being soft? Are they being hard on them? We don't know that. And I think that's going to... Like, if this was happening in year 3 and we had Mike McCarthy and this is year 3, I would be like, yo, this is a problem. We might need to move on from this guy. But
yeah,
it's a talent issue, clearly. And it's also a mix of the coaching staff trying to know what's best to do and what not to do. And that's a problem. I think it's just we've just had a wrong place, wrong time type of season when it comes to what we have on this roster, as well as what we did with this coaching staff change. It's not saying that we should have not done that. Clearly we had to.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, there's still opportunity to change the season around, but if you're going to probably have to get a bunch. We got to do better draft and defense, though. That's the key thing.
Yeah. That is the key there. McClay, for all that he has done well, he does have some black eyes throughout these draft classes. You know what I mean? So it almost feels like his specialty is more on the offensive side of the ball. O-lineman, positional players, defense. Not so much. But let's take a little bit of a discussion as far as the Giants game coming up here, Space. And then, guys, in the comments, we'll get to your comments and questions here in just a minute. But just to briefly touch on this game, Space, what do you think the attack is going to be for the Cowboys to win this game? What is your thinking that they're going to have to do here?
They had to do what they did at the start of the Cleveland game. You have to come out guns blazing, whether it be running Zeke, try to run down their throat, or you have to pass the ball. Like, I know that sounds very just whatever to say, but it's the truth. Like, I think you have to go with what's working. I think the problem is the biggest issue with the Giants is they haven't been able to score a whole lot of points. They've only scored 47 points through 4 games. And I think that could be a layup game for your defense. Listen, if this defense gives up 30 points to the Giants, that's a problem. Like I understand it's a problem already, but like that's a like I'm about to like what the hell. But this offense, we need to jump on them early and often. Just keep scoring, full pedal to the metal. You have nothing to lose. You kind of have something to lose, but you're 1-3. At this point, your season's on the line. So you have to go for it on fourth, and I do like the aggression there. That I will say. I think we have to be better with what we do on our fourth downs, but I think that can be fixed. I think with the Giants also is I don't think Danny Dimes can win a shootout. I don't think they have enough offensive firepower. If they had Saquon Barkley, completely different discussion. But the fact of the matter is they are without 2 of their top weapons, and that could easily play into the Cowboys' favor to just give them a layup game. I hate to say that because no win's guaranteed with this defense.
Yeah.
But we need to come out. We need to just show this is who we are. We got to blow the hell out of it. Listen, it's Jason Garrett's coming home game. If these players really hated Jason Garrett or they want to show, hey, this guy completely held me back. This goes on defense too, by the way. Show up and show out. Show them that who you're made of. That's plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point, man. These Garrett guys that are on the team, how are they going to show up? Are they going to try to show out, like you said, to impress the former coach? I mean, who knows what the hell is going to happen? I think the game itself is going to be an interesting game because, you're going to have the subplots of the strategy, okay? So is Garrett going to have the Giants defense, firing on all cylinders because he's going to have some familiarity with Kellen Moore's system? Is the Kellen Moore system changed at all, or is it going to be where he's going to know all of our plays and we're going to get stifled and we're going to look like crap? So we need to watch out for that part of it. The other part here is McCarthy knows Jason Garrett's offense and how he plays, so it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth, I think, and I think it's just going to come down to the turnovers, and the points, time and position. I think Garrett's strategy is going to be like what it was with the Cowboys: try to control the clock, keep it a close game, come down to a field goal at the end of the game or whatever. But you can't lose this game, man. The Cowboys have to have this game. They got to do whatever they can do to win this game. Go for it on fourth downs. And I'm not going to question any of it. If we lose, at least we tried it. You got to go for the gusto here, man. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's the thing is, like, we don't know how this game's going to go on Sunday. For all we know, it could be a blowout for the Cowboys. It could be a close game that's, maybe a couple things happened that led it to being a close game. But you cannot let the Giants linger. I'm not saying that they're going to, blow the hell out of the Cowboys. If they do, I'm just throwing the towel. But
yeah,
but I all I could say is just don't make mistakes and just pour it on them. You got to show we are an offensive juggernaut and our defense is not a bunch of scrubs. If you can't do it in this game, we're just looking at like a 4-12 season with how we're playing. And I mean, hey, sometimes you need to hit rock bottom on certain aspects before you may have to make drastic changes. That happened to us in 2015. Hey, we had to invest in a quarterback. We lucked out, I will say, but you have to get that elite talent. Whether it be you have to trade up if we get to the playoffs, which I think either way, I think you need to get an elite talent in here.
Yeah, yeah, they'll definitely have the opportunity. But I'm with you, man. If they crap the bet on this game, they're not winning any. They're not going to win a lot more. I mean, the Giants are at the very bottom with us. This is basically the toilet bowl. I think the loser of this game, their season's done because you can't go 1-4 and for the Cowboys, if they go 1-4, the percentage of getting into the playoffs is like slim to none. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's a do or die situation. Like legit, it is.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? I was looking at some odd makers, like 538 has the Cowboys with a 61% chance to win the division. Still, listen, I don't care about the odds at this point. Yeah. I just think it's funny how they're giving the Cowboys that kind of a percentage there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, when you're 1-4, your season's pretty much over. Yeah, you're in the NFC East and stuff like that, but you can't afford to do that kind of stuff. I know there are two ways the season can go, or maybe three. Maybe it's just an average season. Maybe it's just you played very damn tough teams. I mean, Dallas has played teams that have gone 3-1, 4-0, and 3-1. That's where all 3 of your losses came from. And who knows? Maybe it's like last year where we can beat the trash teams, but the strong teams we can't really play well. I mean, but the thing is if that happens, we go 9-7 and win the division. But I just don't want that to be the case. I hope the Cowboys can find their footing in this game. They have a couple games where they can get their footing. Listen, you got 3 division games, which they're not easy. But based on how all of those teams have played, you should be able to get a couple wins there, and maybe that helps you build momentum.
Yeah, that's what's keeping the hope alive. Is that the division is such garbage, and it's unfortunate. I wish there would be the separation of the cream and rising to the top, but no team has done it. But it is going to start October. October is that month. You're going to see, somebody's going to make a move in this division, and we are going to find out here pretty soon. But, guys, let's get into some questions and comments and see what you guys got here in the chat box. Appreciate you guys checking out us live. Make sure you hit like on the video if you're catching this live or on the replay. Let's see what we got in here, guys. GMG 254, should they let Bernard get snap space? What's your thoughts on that there?
Sure, why not? What do you got to lose? I mean, you're pretty much down to some of your bargain basement guys, not to insult them because they play much better than I do, but I don't see a reason why you can't give Bernard snaps. Same reason why you can't give Neville Gallimore snaps and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that too, man. It's at this point, it doesn't hurt. You need to find out what you have in some of these young guys. So maybe that will be some of the change that we see, but so far this team has looked stubborn like it has with the previous administration, like the Terrence Steele situation. That was stubbornness. I thought those days of being stubborn and stupid were done, but no. Let's see what else we got here. Here we go here. A familiar name here, Space. We've all seen this online. Aloha Curve 247. David Irving is waiting to be reinstated by the NFL. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think he would even come to the Cowboys? Do you want him with the Cowboys? What's your thought there, Space?
I mean, I will say he's a damn good talent when he's on the football field, but I guess it just comes down to how you feel. Listen, if the Cowboys can bring back Randy Gregory, I understand it's 2 completely different situations. I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't bring back David Irving, but me personally, I want to move on and get new guys. As much as I hate to say, listen, I understand we need help there, but we can't keep going back to these players like, oh, what about Rolando McClain? He tried to come back. No, we can't be doing that. Like, we have to get new blood in here that are McCarthy guys to help this team right now. Like, we need guys like that.
No, I agree 110,000 billion%, whatever you want to call it. It is at some point. Yeah, he could help now, but it's like, yeah, you got to get these guys in here, McCarthy type of players. And do you want to keep going from the past? Like you said, it's while it's tempting, at the same time, man, you do need to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even think he would come to die. I think his home is there in Vegas right now. He's close to California with his off-field stuff that he's got going on. To me, I think, and then the reunion with Marinelli, I think that makes more sense for him. And ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he ends up, or Seattle. Right. He's gonna want to go to somewhere where they got legal, MJ, and I think those are the spots, Vegas, California, Washington, you know what I mean, Seattle. So
yeah.
That ain't happening here in Texas anytime soon, man.
Yeah, they just put it on the ballot here in New Jersey, so.
Yeah. It's gonna be a while before it gets here in Texas. It might be another half a generation. I don't know. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Here we go. The Lunatic in the house. Question: with Anthony Brown looking to come back, do you try Worley at safety? Because we need somebody opposite X Woods space.
This is tough because I really do. I would love to see Donovan Wilson get snaps, but I think the problem is you're going to see him rotate with X Woods at some time. Like, I mean, he was taking Darian Thompson's spot, so I don't see a reason why you can't play Donovan Wilson there if you want to try him out. As for Daryl Worley, I mean, he's not good. He really isn't. He's like a backup at most, and because he's being thrusted into the starting job because of injury, honestly, if I'm the Cowboys, you should probably just try to push Donovan Wilson out there, see what he can do.
No.
And then have Anthony Brown just play corner when he comes back.
Yeah, that's that. I feel there. That's exactly what I want to. Daryl Worley. You know, this happens every offseason. Somebody will make a hype pump up video about an average ass player. You know what I mean? Gets the fans hyped up like, oh, Worley, this and that. Like, come on, man. No, I'm not feeling that. I appreciate the question though, bro. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. And this is all the conversation that we're having is everybody's getting desperate. Can we move somebody here? Can we try somebody here? Can we do this? Where's Brandon Carr? He's not even on the team anymore. It's just it's like a complete disaster on defense.
Right. And I do want to say this because I know was it Mike from Cowboys Corner, you know, he talked about, you know, I said rebuild, he says disaster. Me personally, you can rebuild subjective. Right, a 4-12 team, in my opinion, is rebuilding. It's a process. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, listen, how you got to 4-12, that's the disaster. Like, I'm not saying this isn't a disaster, but my biggest thing is when I look at this roster, man, it's just like, like how the hell? Like, well, we should be 0-4 right now, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
But you could make the argument they could be 3-1. That's another argument, but. When I look at what they have in these guys, it's just we can't be trying to bank on these basic-ass players to be your starters because now you're seeing what's going on. Like, I mean, like, and I understand, like, oh, why don't we do – I just think it's an evaluation transition year. Like, I think this is just me hopefully thinking. I could be wrong. Might be wrong. But I just think McCarthy and the coaching staff is trying to evaluate what they have right now while trying to win games. And I think that's why you're seeing them stick with Terrence Steele. That's why you're starting to see them move some guys around here and there. Because I think they're trying to find out, okay, this roster I have just gotten from the previous coach that has been here for almost a whole decade plus. He has his fingerprints all over this team. Let me see what I got now, and I'll make some changes in the offseason. And I hate to say that because I know all of us want to win a Super Bowl. We all do. We all want to see this team go to the Super Bowl every single year. But if we're being completely realistic, I think this is a year where Mike McCarthy is just trying to see what the hell he has. I mean, that's what most first-year head coaches usually don't do well. I will say that. And that's not me just saying this as, like, optimism. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, the only two coaches in Cowboys history that really hit the ground running were Barry Switzer with a Jimmy Johnson inherited team and Wade Phillips for a little bit. But I think that you look at the other successful coaches, and if you want some optimism here, I mean, Jimmy Johnson, he inherited a mess. Unfortunately, you know, Tom Landry's teams were just not as good anymore. He got caught up, so he had to rebuild from the ground up. Same thing with Tom. Tom Landry had to build a team from nothing. So you look at, and Bill Parcells, he had to build a team from scrap. I mean,
yeah,
it's just, I think this, I hate saying, like, rebuild year, just throw the season away. But I think the Cowboys are going to need a year like that. They need a year to feel like, okay, we have this, this isn't working. We got to do this to make things better.
And honestly, man, that's why I haven't been so upset when we've lost this last couple, because I see it. You know what I mean? I see it. And you know, like you, I hate to admit it, but just the writing is kind of on the wall. You know what I mean? And especially defensively, that needs a big time revamp. A big facelift, man. It needs a big facelift. So it's crazy. Shady is back. You have to draft linebackers. Yeah, they're gonna have to go outside linebackers for sure. You gotta get a draft presence. He's got to get his Clay Matthews on here at some point.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you draft as well. Because if you can get a stud that can play either interior or outside linebacker, you got to do what you got to do. There are guys that I love. Like I'm a huge Penn State fan. Micaiah Parsons, like I love him. I would love to see him as a Cowboy, but I know damn well you're not getting him without a top 5 pick. But
he's a top pick, man.
Yeah, but it's just like. I think that if McCarthy really believes in best player available, you got to get impact guys, and I understand, Joe, like we talked about, you got to get the Clay Matthews, which maybe, maybe they do that with like a teen pick or whatever the case may be. I just don't want us to like last draft, we have K'Lavon Chase on, we maybe need an edge rusher. I don't want us to force the pick if we have a better player on the board. Obviously, I'm not saying pick another receiver, but I'm just, hey, listen, go back. If it's a tackle, go best player available. I mean, listen, there is an argument to upgrade every position, with the exception of a rare few, are all upgradable.
It is. So, offensive tackle will be in consideration, and this draft class, I can tell you right now, guys, because I've been studying it. It's gonna be pretty good, man. It's gonna be a good draft to get you.
Yeah.
So you can go from the top, the mid, at the end. They're gonna be there, guys. So. It's gonna be a fun draft season, man.
It really is.
It really is, man. Speaking of draft, Taco over TJ Watt. Oh my god!
Please do not remind me. Oh my god!
Yeah, I know. Everybody's wishing they would have taken him over a lot of these other guys. That guy's so good. The Lunatic. No Barkley, no Sterling Shepard. We should hold them to very few points. On paper, I think, you would think that should be the case. We just got to put in practice. The turnovers, man, you got to cut those turnovers off, man. That's just killing the Cowboys, man. Too many turnovers. And so we got here Michael Beers. You think we use 3-4 more since Randy Gregory want to play against Washington? I think you'll see him, using passing downs a lot more. For sure, Randy Gregory. I think he's just naturally built for standing. You know what I mean? He can put his hand on the ground, but he's got that natural bend. It's crazy. This is a guy that can roll out of bed and get sacks for you. So he's a special talent. We just got to see where he's at physically. You know what I mean? Space. So
yeah, I mean, listen, there could be a possibility you roll in it. I'm not saying this is going to happen. You might roll in the next season where maybe you let DeMarcus Lawrence go, and maybe your two guys are Gregory and Alden, which is crazy to say. But if that's what you're trying to do defensively, that might be the move you have to make.
You're going to have to do what you got to do here.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah. I say it too, man. Like a lot of us have these allegiances. A lot of us don't want to see a player gone or even the conversation of such a thing happening, kind of upsets people sometimes. But, man, in the overall scheme of things, it's not about the battle, but you got to win the war. I mean, that's kind of what you kind of have to look at here.
Yeah, man.
Let's see what else we got here, guys. Appreciate the comments. Dallas better win Sunday. If not, wheels come off.
I feel like they already have at this point.
I tweeted a picture of a Formula One car with the.
Oh, I saw that. That's pretty much.
That's what I felt. I was like, "Oh my god, what is going on, man?" Like,
oh man.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Let's hope not, man. Let's see if we can turn this thing around, But at some point, that conversation of hoping and hoping, you run out of time. You just run out of time. The Lunatic, Danny Dimes is the leader.
The leading rusher for the Giants.
Leading rusher.
That's real bad. Listen, if your quarterback's your leading rusher and he only rushed for 150 yards, I think that's what I remember. That's really bad. And Danny Dimes has looked terrible. Danny Penny's he's freaking 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Yeah, he's got a crazy interception ratio. His quarterback rating is horrible. We might, the defense might actually show out here with some interceptions.
They might need it. Listen, this is a game they might we could possibly see the defense I try not to be super, super optimistic, but at the same time, momentum's a crazy thing in sports. You could have a situation where one play could change the complexion of the whole, the whole thing.
It is.
It's That's why I just think that if we can just have a good game on defense, get a couple sacks, maybe a turnover too, that could be all we need to get back on track.
Yeah, it is, man. That momentum, it is a real thing, man. You got to get that spark any way you can get it, man. So it's sometimes that spark is what will get you going. So it wouldn't be a better time than now to do it. So against your in division rival, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we got here. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Keep the questions and comments coming. Appreciate you guys. Let's see. Neglected at safety in the draft is paying off. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, they can't keep going low balling on the safety position. At some point, you got to get something in here.
Mm-hmm.
Question: which position do you want in the first? We kind of hit on that space. Outside linebacker, middle linebacker, tackle. I mean. It really is the door is really gonna be open.
I will say this, it's too I think right now that's where I'm leaning, but usually I will know what I want when I know what draft position I have, because I'll know what prospect I might be getting.
Yeah.
So
let's see if there's some separation here in the division here in the next couple of weeks. That might give some clarity as far as especially if they're still looking bad and they're not going to bring any trade. And remember, guys, trade deadline is October 29th. So it's definitely not too early to talk about trades. I see that on Twitter. Oh, too early to talk about trades, this and that. Hey, man, 3 weeks away. That ain't nothing. That's 3 Sundays away. So,
yep.
And, honestly, I don't see the Cowboys making a trade. But if they want to, it is coming up. So keep that in mind, guys. Let's see what happens there. Eli Trejo, B-Law is gone next year. This is a 3-4 scheme and just don't fit. Yeah, that is the conversation, like where do you put him,
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Especially at that price tag, right space. Like he can't be a 5-tech DE, you know what I mean? For that you can get those guys, like a Marcus Spears, these kinds of guys that, they're just taking them space. They're not necessarily rushing the quarterback. That's what your outside linebackers are for, right? So,
yeah,
we'll see. Which position do you want in the first? Oh yeah, we just answered that one there. Okay, here we go. Sling White TV's got a prediction here. I can see the Cowboys going 9-7 and 10-6.
I will say this. I can see them going 8-8, 9-7 in terms of the schedule lightening up. But again, it comes down to if the defense can make a cut, like just limit them to even 20 points, I think we'll be fine. But I think the Cowboys if they win every single game that they have a team with a losing record, they should be able to get, I think it's 9-7, 8-8 now. So, I mean, I could see it. I mean, I could see it, but it's a matter of can they do it. I think I'll know once we hit the bye week what I think our record's going to be. So,
yeah. No, it's definitely in the realm of possibilities, but you can't lose this game. You can't lose against the Giants here. At 1-4, you're at the bottom of the division, so this is an absolute must win. There's no way around that.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got in here, guys. Did you see what Xavier Woods said? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, Blue. I didn't really care for it. I don't think a lot of people did. That really blew up Twitter for a couple hours.
You saw a lot of pissed off people. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man. West Dallas boy, Joe, what's up, fam? The venom is coming for you.
What
is this one here? Let's get rid of McCarthy. No film.
Man, we're too early for that. Listen, we gave Jason Garrett 10 plus years to get the job done. I'm pretty sure we can give McCarthy 3.
Yeah,
at minimum.
Yeah, I saw I saw Scooter Magruder said, "Hey, when do we start thinking about firing McCarthy?" Like, come on, man.
I get it. Listen, I understand we're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Joe's frustrated. We're all frustrated. But I got to say, man, you cannot let go of a first-year head coach, especially someone of his caliber, when you look at the context of the situation. This isn't like the Cowboys are a straight-up garbage-ass team in terms of, like, talent. Defensively speaking, that's a different story. But I think that the Cowboys have enough talent to win a couple games. But it's like, I just think the Cowboys are trying to feel what they can do to next year and the following year. And I think that's what you're going to end up seeing. You're going to see a rebuild like 2011, if you want to include 2010, 2011 to 2013, where they built up the offense. If I think that's going to flip. I think you're going to see a lot of focus on the defense. And I mean, as long as you keep your guys on offense and everything's A-okay, with maybe a couple guys here and there you got to change out because they're getting older. I think we'll be fine. So,
yeah, you can't hit that ejection button on the coach yet, man. It's everything we've been talking about, man. It's just he's got to build a program, and it's not going to happen overnight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is with McCarthy. And if they gave Dave Campbell 3 seasons of 5-11 and all these 10 years with Garrett with mediocre crop, they're not gonna just turn around and kick him to the curb.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that I just thought that was ridiculous. Scooter McGregor. He's got a lot of followers to say stupid stuff like that. I thought it was just dumb. Mario Flores, you can tell the difference between the power Rivera and McCarthy have. Benching Haskins, who the Snyder loved him, shows the power he has. McCarthy doesn't have power because of Jerry and the loyalty.
I'm sorry, but here's the thing. Ron Rivera is the de facto GM in Washington, so he has everything. He could do whatever the hell he wants within reason. My thing is like, if we're doing the whole quarterback comparison, the Cowboys already figured out who they have at quarterback, and there's no reason to bench. I understand it's Haskins, I get it, but I'm just using this for sake of argument. But with Washington, they benched Haskins because he was playing bad. Right, and for someone that Ron Rivera knows, and I think ultimately, we all know Dan Schneider is one of the worst owners in all of sports. Not saying Jerry isn't a terrible owner either, but but I gotta call a spade a spade. It's just like, I'm sorry, but McCarthy already has himself figured out offensively speaking, like what he has, and they've been doing pretty well when they get the chance. Rivera really hasn't done much yet. And again, it's his first year, so I can't hate on him. His defensive line looks amazing. So
yeah, he's kind of got the same kind of issues the Cowboys have. If you think about it, their defense is built really well, but that offense is a freaking disaster.
Just vice versa. Yeah,
it is like the anti-Cowboys. So, but it's like you said, he's like the de facto GM. That's absolutely true. He benched Haskins, which I totally agree with. I thought he left Ohio State a year too early, and you see that in his play. He's not very accurate. And but for the Cowboys' point of view, I guess if we're talking about benching players like a Jalen Smith or DeMarcus Lawrence or somebody of that nature, I don't see them doing it. It probably needs to happen, but. Yeah, you might have a point there, Mario. If you're talking about that.
Yeah, he just said he's talking about benching defensive players. Okay, so if we're talking about that context, I can see that.
Yeah.
Because Jalen, listen, his whole brand makes money. DeMarcus Lawrence, his brand makes money, and that's a problem. Now, again, we'll see what happens in the next year or two to see. We'll find out how much say McCarthy really has, because if DeMarcus Lawrence or Jalen Smith, or both of them are gone, whether it be now or in a year or two, we'll see what. Listen, if the Cowboys can get rid of guys like DeMarcus Ware, Dez Bryant, granted, way too late.
Yeah, that's what they do. They're historically, the Cowboys have always been late to the game when letting go of talent that they have, dried clean. They turn grapes into prunes. You know what I mean? Into raisins. So, yeah. We'll see,
right.
But yeah, we'll see what's up there. Let's see what we got here. Charles Mabry, how are you? How can we not be blitzing? Yeah, so I don't know. When you blitz, you got to have if you blitz, your secondary better be spot on. You know what I mean? Because players are going to be in the open. So
yeah, exactly, man. Like this is the thing. The Cowboys have been blitzing. The problem is they haven't been able to cover long enough to allow the blitz to be effective.
yeah, we're just not getting home either. I mean, our leading sacker is Baldwin, and you got one sack from Diggs. Some other. I mean, we aren't getting anything from anybody. Like it's awful.
Right.
It is just god awful off that defense, but we'll see what's up, man. Like we said, hopefully they can turn this thing around. Dom Capers. Let's see what here. All right, guys. Who would y'all trade for on the defensive side?
This is tough because honestly, I don't know who's on the trade block, but at this point, I don't want to give up my draft capital at this point. I'm sorry to say, like I just without the season's going, not yet. If the Cowboys are at a juncture like they were in 2018, where it's like, okay, they're 3-4, like they're in the middle of the pack, but I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Fine, we don't need to make a move, but I don't see a reason if we're gonna have a very high draft capital to give up that pick.
Yeah,
so I'd say no one right now.
Yeah, and they've I don't know, they haven't been big players. I mean, I know they got Amari Cooper, but unless they feel like they have to make this move, out of sheer being desperate or whatever, they might do something crazy. But who would it be? How much would it cost? And like you, man, I'm totally with you. We have so much that we need to fix still. That I want to have our picks. Plus, we're going to have a pretty good amount of compensatory picks. So next year's draft class, you're going to have the availability to use those picks. You're going to have another third rounder. Do you want to make the pick? Do you want to package it, move up, and get you a blue chip, whatever? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you probably. It's just one of those crazy. It's 2020, everybody. It's 2020.
Yeah.
Nah, but I think that's where we're at, guys. We do appreciate you guys checking out the Frisco Report. My special guest, Space Cowboy 17, man. Appreciate you for joining the show tonight, man. Let everybody know where they can find you if they haven't already, Space.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much, Joe Rod, for having me on. You and Mike do a fantastic job with this show. I do listen to it, and it gets me through the day. Just whether it be driving to work, driving home from work, wherever. Definitely good stuff to listen to. I'm gonna go ahead. First off, if you guys don't know who I am, Space Cowboy 17. You can find me on Facebook as well as Twitter at SCowboy17. I just changed my Twitter handle, so I got to get used to that. But yeah, I'll make sure to just put my name in the chat box. You can click on my link and you can go to my channel and you want to go subscribe up there. But thank you, Joe Rod, so much for having me on, my man.
No, I appreciate you, man. And I'll definitely have you on again. This isn't a one-time deal or anything like that by any means. So, great insight as well, and I appreciate you coming on the show. But that's all we have, guys. Continue to like, subscribe, and share on your way out. Hit the like button. If you're catching this on the replay, hit like. Follow my boy Space Cowboy 17, and I'll catch you for the next one, everybody. Peace.